Hello, good evening. My name is Bita Sadanandan, and today is the 24th of March 2026, and the time is 6:34 p.m. The area of body we would be maintaining the health of by the Nirbeeja Yoga method style is the region of the diaphragm. Now, I have done a live the morning 6:30 to 7, and the body physiology at that time is different from evening 6:30 to 7 because several factors have changed, including but not limited to what I was doing during the day, what different people around me have been doing during the day, what you have been doing during the day, people around you, also the sun, the position of the sun, and the planets and stars, and what have you. You have different changes. And 6:30 in the evening, we have to maintain our diaphragm. I call it a recalibration, so that we are functioning well enough after the whole kind of day. We still have a few more hours, but recalibration is how the clock functions well enough, where a body clock, circadian rhythms, um, at time space relativity can then be more. Our springs can um, be more spruced up. So that allows for our health to be of a particular composition. What you take care of is more likely to function long enough. Yeah. And diaphragm maintains quite an interesting place in the whole scheme of things. So those who have participated in the morning may notice a certain dullness. Also because I had a bowl of ice cream just before I could start the live today. So what's that got to do with things? Well, if you haven't been studying diet on what different ingredients does to your body, you are less likely to notice, well, at least you can feel the difference on something being down. Also, I was sitting greater part of the day, but that's also because the diaphragm then hasn't had a twisty dance. You know, um, I have been walking a bit, but not as much. But okay, a little dull, little could do better. So let's see what can we do, anything different. So I invite you to bring your attention to the sides of your lower left and right sides of the lower part of your rib cage. And I did a little bit of recalibration in the middle of the day after doing a little bit of work. But, and then I noticed my liver needed a little maintenance, something I noticed in the morning. So I did a little bit of liver breathing to maintain my liver, livability, biochemical factory, so that any fatty liver concerns or any such thing, or gallbladder resentment not really digested, so it doesn't become a gallstone or any of that stuff. So why is that important? That affects my diaphragm's composition because the liver is just below the diaphragm. Um, Nevertheless, whatever we have been doing during the day. Now, I have the Nirbeeja Yoga method of maintaining health. You have your own and different activities of daily living. And then um, we are paying attention to health at this point in time and what we can do to improve it. So, how healthy can we get? We have a lot of scope. Improvement is the biggest room in a house. Yeah. Um, and there's always scope for improvement. There's always room for improvement. Now, the liver in the diaphragm in the front versus back region of your body would be different because the front portion has all these internal organs above and below the front, whereas back has, well, you have the spine connecting the ribs, and the diaphragm is in the lower portion, and the diaphragm is connected to the spine, and um, since a lot of the internal organs are in the front versus back, what you notice about the movement of the back muscles about the region of your diaphragm would be relatively different than the front. You're more likely to pay attention to the front because you're kind of like a kangaroo carrying all the internal organs in the front. Yeah, like all internal organs, like babies, pouches, all different kinds. They are each in their own bags. Hepatic capsule, the spleen, the stomach, intestines all have their own baggages. Their own um, skin. So that's a treasure house. We're like a yeah, carrying our goodies in front, and our spine is supporting the entire weight carrying activity. Yeah, so that's like a pregnant lady. Yeah, all internal organs. So now you can't say that you're not carrying the weight of your life. Yeah, you're carrying your own life and birthing a new way of living by how you take care of your own body and the babies that's inside your body. Yeah, you have poiesis, apoptosis, new cells formation, old cells going through the recycle processes. So you do have new. That is when you are maintaining your health new. Otherwise, there is a certain natural process. When you're doing Nirbeeja Yoga, they get the new cells are better informed after decoding, decontamination, de-traumatization of past cells. The memories of past cells. So the new cells are then informed with healthier impressions. So the story of your life keeps getting better. Now that's an advantage with Nirbeeja Yoga. I haven't heard about this benefit with um, several other forms of healthcare. Yeah. So that is why Nirbeeja Yoga, I say, is rejuvenation, not just regeneration. It's rejuvenation. Um, so, sunny side up because you're regularly healing, Vishachikitsa, Tattva. So your elements are getting finer. You're becoming a humane person. Otherwise, you're carrying all past life experiences and all these long stories, and um, so the whole day's stories and effects influences from different spheres of influence then affects your seven substrates, seven layers, seven generations. Poiesis, apoptosis, seven generations of substrates that then has you be a woman and man of substance or become the boy and girl of substance. Yeah, you either devolve or you evolve, depending on how you are kind of maintaining your composition. Which direction is your growth? And I have Mighty Baby for my logo. But it's your perspective if it's a baby, but I get to have the benefit of best of both worlds. Yeah, adult and child. Oh, no, adult, but not adult. Yeah. So that's all nice little things. So best of both worlds. Yeah. Ooh, all right. So like the diaphragm, good, nice, like a horse going up and down, up and down. Yeah. When your diaphragm is all nicely breathing, then it moves the lungs all the, heaven and hell, keeps the heaven and hell in motion, no rest. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Otherwise, one or the other gets stuck and they give us grief. Yeah. And both are happy, heaven and hell. That's really good. And we got lots of diaphragms in our body, transverse tissues, pelvic floor, for example, the tentorium in the head, the thoracic inlet about the shoulders, and the feet, the soles of our feet, that's also transverse tissue. So when they're all nicely drumming, we have a good, nice music with the body. Yeah, it's fun. It's when you're regularly taking care of your health, then you notice how they are all bouncy, trampolini. Yeah, and it's a pleasant experience. It's when you notice that things are going a little, oh, then you need to again maintain health, recalibrate, and then all nice and fine, bouncy. Yeah, all right. So I'm teaching people on how to have uh, babytude. No, uppitude. Happitude. Okay. Now, sunny side up. Yeah, your diaphragm in the evening. Yeah, front versus back, the heavy front side would also be because of your posture. If you're sitting on a chair with your ankles crossed, your skeletal framework is going to be having more grief than if you uncrossed and placed your feet flat on the ground. with your knees at a 90-degree angle, such that that 90-degree angle of your knees is a 90-degree angle with your hips, and so your spine, the upper body, can be less tense because your ankles are flat on the ground, so there is no bony crisscrossing to imbalance your posture. That helps your diaphragm be better composed, less strained. Even a slight movement, your knees this way, your ankles that way, will increase the pressure of the tension along your tissues. And then your diaphragm goes a little toing, yeah, a little twisted, a little extra work. And then your heart has to do that much extra work because your diaphragm, the support from your diaphragm has gone a little compromised. Yeah. So why do we have heart conditions? India is said to have cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, those kinds of things because we don't know Nirbeeja Yoga. Yeah, but also because of the long stories, uh, different countries colonized, and then ancestral material, genetic heavy with genetic material, including that India took flow from Gondwana land. So the stories of the country, also different geographical location, cooks us into having the kind of stories we have. And then we have this idea called tapas, or the metabolic fire that makes our body. So where is this going? When you're paying attention to the diaphragm, all of those metabolic fires below the diaphragm in all the different kinds of tissues, there'll be many kinds of metabolic fires. Yes? On the line. Sure, 1 minute. Are you guys okay? All right. There was a call. Yeah, right. Now, um, right. So the diaphragm may sometimes be resting on the liver. Yeah. If you're a little slouched, your diaphragm is taking the support of the liver. And so your liver is facing extra tension from above. Yeah. Like hierarchy, authority figure. But the thing is, instead of diaphragm maintaining its own weight, it is resting on the liver. So liver has extra workload. Yeah. And so how then do we set right the situation? Okay. Um, let's bring our attention to the lower part of our rib cage, which is where we started. And then notice the front of your rib cage, which is about where the floating ribs are. And then notice that area in terms of softness, which may help the tissues of your liver and your diaphragm to at least have a review of their lives. Yeah. To notice how is their relationship between liver and diaphragm, because one may be sitting on top of the other. So that's an opportunity for the different departments to have a appraisal. Yeah. A little bit of pay attention to the warmth of tissues will help each of them reflect upon the matter in the warmth of the kind presence. Yeah. um, and then when you pay attention to warmth about the lower portion of the front of your rib cage, your tissues already have a breath because of which they are alive, and that movement becomes easier to notice. Okay. Now, when you pay attention to warmth and when you pay attention to any sense of softness about the left and right sides of your rib cage, lower portion of your rib cage, which is about the lower portion of your lungs, that's kind of also paying attention to left and right sides of your body in that area. Now, what's new about that? Your body's nervous system is differently appreciated, left and right sides. The right hemisphere innervates the left side of the body, and left hemisphere innervates the right side of your body. Now, when you're paying attention to your diaphragm in the front, lower portion of your rib cage, in terms of warmth and softness, the differential nervous innervation becomes a little more comparatively appreciable. Yeah, because they move differently. Below the left side is spleen and stomach. Below the right side is, well, you also have the liver going through, but right side is more the liver and kidney in the back. Yeah. Left side also, but the position of the kidney is different between the left and right sides. They're not exactly symmetrical. Because the liver is there, the right kidney is a little down. Yeah. And the left side does not have the liver, the weight of the liver. So it is more a little up. Yeah. So also the tension of tissues in the left and right sides would be different. Partial differential equations. Yeah, you're thinking about comparison. You have your left and right sides of your body. You are busy comparing with other people. You may be giving your own tissues, your own organs grief because there is enough of comparison happening inside. Yeah, without you introducing external features, mind your own business. Your life will be much simpler. Yeah, or rather, mind your own body. Your life will be much simpler while sufficiently paying attention to outside details. There's a story of a person making a tea, inviting somebody for a duel. And this person was saying, I don't know to fight. So he was recommended to, when the duel starts, you start making tea in your head. Because he's all calm and cool. And there's no chance for a fight because you can fight when there is, a trigger point or something. Yeah. There is just calm and composed. What in the world are you going to fight about? So you want to fight battles, you have your Johari window. No, no, no. Eisenhower matrix with your urgent and firefighting and stuff. You have enough fires in your own life. You make a list of what you have to do in your life and mind your own business. Less drama in your life, less diseases, and you would make much progress on where you'd like to get to and harmoniously at that. Yeah. The world, we are all working, unless you're in the healthcare industry, which everybody should be interested in. But depending on your work, when you're paying attention to say even one disease you're trying to resolve, that's one disease is going to really resolve because you are at it and peacefully at that, not fighting left, right, and center. Yeah, just go about solving the problem, and that's problem that gets solved, and then you can work on another one. This becomes possible when you pay attention to the difference that is already happening in your body between the left and right sides. Just below the rib cage, yeah, the lower portion of your rib cage, left and right sides, so much of peace is possible just by minding the businesses of your departments, of your own body. Yeah, just a little bit of warmth, a little bit of softness, and then you're noticing the movements. Basically, you're an organization. Yeah, you're an incorporation. That is when you can notice you have different departments. And then you're paying attention to what your departments are doing. That if there is any stress and tension, you will know about it. Otherwise, uh, you're watching somebody else and your own organization needs a little bit of support. Yeah, I'm minding my own business. Because the more you're informed about what am I doing, greater the chances that you would do well. And when you do well, that's a few problems I don't have to deal with. Yeah, because mine is about the human resource department, Earth.Inc.'s human resource department. So when we have more humans doing well, our incorporation, Earth.Inc., is doing well because we're already facing with birth rate concerns and population concerns across the globe. So when you are doing well, I'm doing well because Earth's human resource department is doing well. Pretty new. No, the human resource department forms when an organization has come to a stage where a human resource department can function. The organization can afford a human resource department. Quite an expensive undertaking, department. Yeah. So a human being, to grow one human being into a humane human being, yeah, who can take care of life and also work on enlivening life in the multiverse, very expensive. You should see how many civilizations Earth has been working with to finally be able to arrive at human resource department. There are other works, human resource, when everybody working together, the organization does better. Now, about the diaphragm. Yeah, pay attention to your own diaphragm. Yeah, okay. Pay attention to the movement of your I can say rib cage. If you can feel the bones of your rib cage, the lower portion, floating ribs. If you have been, while I've been talking all of this, if you've been continuing to pay attention to warmth and softness of the lower portion of your rib cage, it becomes easier for you to notice the density of your bones, because it takes a while for your nervous system to get used to, to kind of digest all the different tensions of the day and then be able to feel, oh, bone. There's like a little, you put vegetables in a broth of water, yeah, and then turn on the heat. It takes a while for the vegetables to get soft enough to, yeah, eh, for the vegetables to soften. So your awareness, your tissue awareness, slowly does a little bit of cooking. So if there's any microorganisms around there, they are having a little microwave disinfection. Yeah. And then you'll be able to feel your bones. And then you notice how your bones are doing. And then the bones then check in with other relatives. Yeah. For example, the tissues, the diaphragm underneath, or the liver underneath, and the tissue above or inside the rib cage to see kemcho, maja macho. How are you doing? Everybody good, good. And if there's somebody is having a problem, then the nervous system, the muscles will, all the relatives will come to know around that region. Something is not fine, a little bit tension here, a little stretch here, a little, we could do a little bit of walking around, or just walk with the, with the breeze. You've been sitting for a long time during the day. So a little bit of moving of muscles will allow for all the tissues in the chest to have a different experience than just a sitting experience, which would still be pleasanter. A change of experience uh, would do good for health. So that things like this become possible. It comes to your awareness. You tend to then make other movements and consequently get to see other things in life. And then if you really love your job, and how you earn your living, what do you do? Then you will just take a little walk and then come back and sit. Yeah, because your work is pleasurable. It's not a high tension. Even if it's a high tension, you love it because of how you take care of yourself while you're doing your job. There is the sense of gratification, so to speak. Yeah, all your dopamine and endorphins and serotonin and remember something. Yeah, uh, dopamine, serotonin, endorphin. One more happy hormone is there. Oxytocin. Oxytocin. They're all there, and then your body is more making all the different vitamins, vital amines, and you're more. It's a happy broth. You're a multivitamin. You're a chemical factory. Your liver is at least a chemical factory. The other tissues are also doing these good, nice little um, biochemical mechanisms. So if there's something that is toxic, not so fine, they become more health maintaining structure. So it's a full production house. And then it's about what's getting produced in your body. That also depends on how you are allowing for your organization to function well. When you're regularly taking care of your organization, your body, then your organization is not having cause for complaints. And even if there are complaints, they'll come and tell you. You'll get to know in your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, superconscious processes. If you're not getting to know when you're talking, when you're going to sleep, you'll get to know all information. That's a good, nice relationship with yourself at least. And I have my complementary partner. So what your body is your life partner. So there's this idea of Ardhanarishwar. So your light self, your shadow self, all nicely informing. Yeah. So um, yeah, and then you have your genes are related with so many family members, and so many, I don't know, they're even talking about Neanderthals and Denisovans. So I don't know how all they're related, but no fight. Otherwise, you will have immunity concerns or autoimmune concerns. No fight, all nice humanity across boundaries, warm, and it's a relatively, it's a happy family. Yeah. Now, that is something that is possible when you are taking care of your body and your relationship with your life and what you do and whom you're interacting with. So if you're making a list of things that you're already doing in life, and where you're having a disease, dis-ease in your body may also be related with some areas of your life which may be giving some tensions, which you have acknowledged, not acknowledged, looked at what's working, not working. You care, don't care. Your body is a topography of the life you live. Yeah. So when you can pay attention to how your bodily experiences and then the different areas of your life, there comes a certain harmony over time through gentle course corrections of how you're relating with what you do. But actually, there also naturally tends to be a certain movement where opportunities show up consistent with who you are, what you have more the capability of, what you can actually address. So your blueprint comes alive, and then you have the life consistent with the blueprint that's your make. Yeah. That's also how you then have peace, you have the harmony, you also then work a life where people are not excluded. You're like, come people, let's join the party. It's all this is nice. You don't know what I'm talking about? You can also learn this. When you learn this, you also have a happy, harmonious, normal, ordinary, harmonious life. There are several details. For example, Nirbeeja Yoga is one. You have three other more. Yeah. If you go to my website, I mean, my learning site, learn.dynamicstillnesses.com, learn.dynamicstillnesses.com. If you go there, you will find one on the top, there is one list of services I make available. So those are some of that on that list is the three other forms of yoga other than Nirbeeja Yoga. Now, this may seem like information, but if you pay attention to the thoughts you have or how I'm saying relevant to diaphragm maintenance versus not, um, something that is not very famously known is that your skin is also a certain diaphragm between your internal world and the external. Okay. Now, it's a different kind of a diaphragm. Your diabetes, for example, metabolic concerns, diaphragm, diagram, diagonal. Yeah. Um, a place between this and that. And when I'm talking here about the diaphragm is also a layer of skin kind tissue, but it maintains harmony not just with the upper and lower parts of the body, but also with different other tissues because it's all part of the same body. When the diaphragm is tense, the pelvic floor might get tense, or the head could get tense, depending on how the relationships are. So when you pay attention to your thoughts, it would also tell you how much you are wanting to hear one thing, but if the topic goes off, you go into reaction mode. Yeah. So it's not an opportunity of you're sitting in a class, this is what you're supposed to talk, and then you're hearing many other things. How do you know those many other things are not related to the topic? It seems diverse, it seems multifaceted, not related, but we are talking about a different approach to how health is appreciated and what becomes possible when you continue to pay attention to the warmth and softness about the lower portion of your rib cage while I'm speaking these different things. Then you would notice how what I'm speaking is also related with the experience of your diaphragm. Because your diaphragm was also formed embryologically in connection with your liver and your heart. Embryologically, diaphragm, liver, and heart were born together. So when we are working with the diaphragm, liver and heart also gets worked because they are buddies, they are siblings who were born together. When one is getting worked, the other also gets worked. So I was talking about all hearty stuff and liver stuff and biochemicals, and I told you it is not a direct link, but when you um, pay attention to your thoughts, your emotional states all over the place, how is it all related? By the by, slowly you will see how these are all related. Yeah, if you're making notes, it's going to be quite an interesting experience. Like you may have noticed something about this one. You went through some emotional up and down. But if you continued to pay attention to the warmth and softness about the lower portion of your rib cage, so many traumatic or difficult spots, difficult experiences in your body would already resolve. Now that's something that I do too. I listen to, say, war movies, or listen to the news, or they're talking about, switch on some India Pakistan match, for example. Yeah. And your tissues are going through experiences, and you're paying attention to warmth and softness, at least in your own body, and noticing the harmony within your own stuff, the stories which may be ready for a reaction to what's happening outside is getting digested, which means your composition is becoming more integrated, more harmonious, but more at peace and not ready for a knee-jerk reaction um, or a what have you, ready for ready with the guns. Your harmoniousness begins to get more informed. The stories of your body begins to get more informed, so that it's a fine weave between the four Vedas, so to speak. At least the front, back, left, right are four Vedas. Here their bodies form from at least these. And then you have the top of the head and the soles of your feet too. So that's like six Vedas, at least six directions. And then if you want to think in terms of tesseract, you have, eight. Ashtanga Yoga, we have many multiples of eight. And then you will see how these eight are related. So it's a it's a fine connection between martial arts, art of peace, music, um, um, tattva shuddhi, cleansing, detoxing, decontamination, healthier metabolism, uh, Ashtanga yoga, asana, pranayama, dhyana, they're all rolled into one. Otherwise, you'll have to stand in making many other postures and so many varieties. Instead, you just one multifaceted practice that moves through stages of development as you become aware of several facets, and thereby you become a better, humaner person. That takes some while. I'm talking about several years of work, but you're kind of getting a performance of something. Yeah, you're getting to hear something. But if you're getting triggered, reacted, so much of your nerves are ready for here. You're listening to me. You may be listening to your boss and ready to, your nerves are going like, oh, look at this one talking. Yeah. So to that extent, what is going on inside is not allowing you to listen to what the boss is saying. Yeah. You're a reaction waiting to happen. But instead, as I'm talking, you're paying attention to, now you're paying attention to warmth and softness. Very nice. I got to keep repeating this. And slowly we'll have more harmonious people. We'll have more humanity across boundaries. Oh, nice, nice, nice. And your health gets better. What opportunities you see in life, you become more Earth-like. Otherwise, other planets are all don't have Earth-like composition. It takes some work. Cooking to become like, mirror like we are living inside a mirror where we can reflect upon the matters. The physiology required for Earth dotting, yeah, while we have several influences also. So in-house maintenance, things are happening that's in-house, in Earth, yeah, uh, different layers of Earth's atmosphere. Oh, this is all ghar ki kahaniyan, yeah. So very nice. As you paid, very nice. That's very nice. When you continue to do this, yeah, over time you get finer, and then you get more humaner. You become more kindness coming. Kindness will come. but at least you're paying attention to warmth and softness. You are learning to be mindful of your own body at least. Um, Gold, when it's going through the fire, it becomes fine over time. And then we're not talking about just gold. Yeah, we're talking about in Samudra Manthan, we are talking about 9 Navaratnas and so many benefits from there, and all those. You can go through this text about Samudra Manthan. So many things emerge from there. But having a good, healthy, wealthy, wise life takes a little bit of work. For example, paying attention to warmth and softness in becoming a present, aware, humane person. Yeah, lots of benefits. Really nice. That's a little heavy workload in life, getting a little cooked from inside. Oh, that's good. Earth's going to be a little more less burdened by all the stories held in the tissues and 7 generations of them at that. Yeah. Rasadhatu, Raktadhatu, Medusa, Mamsa, Asti, Majja, Shukra, and what all creativities. Yeah, 7 generations of them. And we are only talking about the front portion of the body. Yeah. Just stay with that one slowly, slowly as you get. Now, one thing about this is you may not be aware that there are elements: Agni Tattva, Vayu Tattva, Jala Tattva, Akasha Tattva. Okay, what I miss? Bhumi Tattva. Yeah, and also, what do you call that? Um, Nothing Tattva. No. Earth, water, fire, air, spirit, space. Yeah, they say Pancha Mahabhutas, but I'm calling the Bhuta also as a Bhuta. So it's like we say spirituality, that's like positive and negative. Spirit, positive, negative. In a battery, you have positive, negative. Alcohol turns on your positive or negative sides. So bhuta is like positive, negative. So when you find a fine balance between the charges, then you're a more kinder, humane being. Instead of trying to avoid emotional reactivity, yeah, you're more mindful of the positive and negative. That brings a little more balance. Once all the extra energy gets more invested where they could, instead of just going to. So paying attention to warmth and softness, um, it could have you go a little dry. So I recommend you improve on the amount of water you drink per day. Okay, because you got to compensate for the amount of water which may be getting utilized in digesting the content, digesting the stories, um, uh, different stuff in your body. So don't spend more than 10 or so minutes per time. So you're not getting dried out because since you're not talking to me in person straight, I don't know where you're listening from, but I have the sense that you are. Um, Try and have more water. Yeah. Green leafy vegetables, cucumber, carrots, tomatoes, if you can handle that. If you're not going through acidity, then try considering tomatoes, beetroot, good, okay, but have some veggies that will help your body detoxify, but also maintain the strength of your tissues while you are working through what you haven't been before. And I can't see you, so I can't directly guide you. There are fine details here, but at least you could. It's like a farmer uh, pours water in the land, yeah, and you need to have more water to pour, yeah. So drink water. That will help when you're doing these during these lives when you're participating, yeah. Then it will help the water that you drink will help the metabolic processes. It will help maintain the health of the metabolic processes so that you're not going short of resources. So the food you drink, food you eat, water you drink, the different practices, fun also is an ingredient. How much of fun you have, they have a certain biochemical response, impression in your body. And those biochemicals also get utilized in the health improvement processes. Okay, The work you do, that's also information that goes in. And then what have you, the rest you have, the amount of cleanliness you go through, they all leave certain biochemical precipitates, and those precipitates get utilized in the health improvement processes. So you need to replenish them. What do you need to replenish? Vegetables, yeah, water, fun. What kind of fun? What are you engaging in? Because that's also information, food that goes in. Work, what work you do, yeah, how you do. Then cleaning, rest, all this required, all different kinds of foods. Yeah. So when you are regularly, when you're doing this, these are some of the foods that then has their own biochemical responses in your body. And then those chemicals get utilized in the health improvement process. Yeah. In Nirbeeja Yoga. So there are some fine little details like this. So thank you so much for joining me. We did a lot more, but related to the diaphragm, but several aspects of it. That became a little multifaceted. Yeah, and so many depths. But I'm kind of also preparing my students so that when you think you're ready more to invest in what I'm making available, and you have three other, and what is all this yoga for? We have four kinds of yoga. What is all this for? To live life in the multiverse. But what does that show up as? That involves a little fine little humanity across boundaries and several details and pani ni todi itla mone. Yeah, okay. So the thing is Shrishti optimization. It's called Shrishti optimization. We require people to be engaged, employed in what I'm calling as Shrishti optimization. So I'm more, yoga is a necessary part. Why do you do yoga? That what makes a difference in how you do yoga. Yeah. So I'm preparing people to, students, different stages according to how you are learning what you're learning. When you're ready to invest and then, join classes, learn what's happening, then it's basically about Shrishti optimization. You being part of the Earth.inc, we are all employees of Earth, at least, born since, employed since birth. So when the employees are doing well, then the work that needs to happen on, in Earth.inc functions well enough. And then there's a lot of field, there's a lot of company estate, like family estate, company estate. We're all in the same planet Earth, so we're basically family members. And then it's a big estate. So a lot of work to do. That's basically what I'm saying. So you do well by, we have Nirbeeja Yoga, and you have your own practices, dance and whatnot. So you're doing what you're doing. And when you're kind of learning through this, you're becoming more readier for Shrishti optimization. Yeah. So learn.dynamicstillnesses.com. Several details. We're only talking about Nirbeeja Yoga. 3 more to go. So we can't just introduce everything all at once. Yeah. So little by little, little by little. I told you it's like the internet, but we have a whole system structure. But you have to start education from A, B, C, D, and then you start putting down words, and then you form phrases, and then sentences. We are having volumes, yeah, but okay. We already have the textbooks, but you don't know how to read the textbooks, so we'll have to rehabilitate. It's a human rehabilitation program. Otherwise, we are having humanity cross boundary concerns, WHO's global list. We got work. It's about Shrishti optimization. Yeah. Human Resource Department, Earth's Human Resource Department. So, thank you so much for joining me. There are many things you don't know about. Yeah. Evolution it's a continuous process. While we have been watching television, doing our work, hustling in our own businesses and enterprises, there is also evolution happening all the time. And I'm one of those things you didn't know about that Earth has been working on. Earth.inc has been working on. Universe, multiverse, several details. So it's a whole lot of things. So it's a new world. Things that you didn't even know you had to think about. You are slowly hearing. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Good day.